non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
I think they're a strong candidate to not only, and I know Vikings fans probably don't want to hear this, not only like build to this draft, but to add more picks yet again, for like the third straight year now, where they probably are going to be trade back candidates consistently. And especially where they sit at pick 12 because of how deep this draft is towards the top. It may not have elite talent, but it has a lot of guys with first round grades.
Okay, is it, I don't know. Is it questionable that I recognized that voice and that face, Mike Renner from Pro Football Focus, not from Pro Football Focus, but from The Bachelorette a few seasons ago?
Whose season was he on? Do you remember who The Bachelorette was?
Let's see here. Mike Renner. He had long hair. He had like the Fabio blonde long hair. Mike Renner, Bachelorette. And now he's just like breaking. I think he got bounced on the first night, or like,
Sure.
She meets 30 guys and then has to get rid of like 8 on the first night. I don't think he made the cut. But can you imagine them just like on some sort of romantic date?
You just start
south of
breaking out
France.
the football knowledge.
Let me tell you about.
Quick hands.
Let me tell you about catch radius here, baby.
Yeah. I want to talk about a subject I'm passionate about. What's that, Mike? The Chargers, their draft strategy.
Oh, he was on Becca Kufrin's season. She's from Minneapolis.
Becca's season.
Minneapolis
Becca.
Becca. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Becca.
See, didn't think you guys were going to get Bachelorette knowledge bombs dropped on you to start Purple Daily. Presented by TCL. One of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs, delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. Mackie, Judd, executive producer Declan. And it's not often that we get breaking mock news off the top of a freaking show. So we're doing mock a day here on Purple Daily. We're bringing you a new mock draft every single day, and we're keeping track of the players that are mocked to the Vikings. And so Derek Stingley has been mocked 6 times to the Vikings. Trent McDuffie 5 times. That's 11 cornerbacks. Edge rusher Jermaine Johnson twice. Jordan Davis once. Couple of trades. And we came in all set for a specific mock that we will still get to. And Declan goes, Did you guys see what came out this morning? We have Godfather and Toddfather combining for a 3-round mock on ESPN.
I want a mock!
Get it, baby.
Which I have not seen. I have no clue.
I haven't either.
I'm super excited.
So here we go. Let me pull this up here. This is a 3-round NFL mock draft. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay predict the top 105 picks, alternating for all 32 teams. So I'm guessing Kiper gets the first one. Contractually, right? You'd think that Kiper picks first here.
The hair
or he gets the option. He can defer. Maybe he can defer to Todd.
I'm guessing Mel does not in life defer.
Oh, it's McShay gets the first pick.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Mel's out of favor.
Well, maybe Mel had to defer a few things because he's not going to be there live. He has health reasons for not getting vaccinated, and apparently, I don't know if they're not letting him be out there or whatnot. But he's going to be like via satellite during the draft for the first time. Is he gonna hold the bathroom breaks for 8 hours like usual?
I thought about, you know what? That was the first thing when I saw that story that I thought about. I'm like, I guess he could go to the bathroom now pretty quickly, couldn't he? It's actually it's perfect, right?
He could just be sitting on a toilet, I guess.
Oh God, you didn't have to say that.
All right, let's just get to the mic.
Why'd you do that?
All right, number 1 overall, the Jaguars. McShay has Aiden Hutchinson going to the Jags. Kiper has Trayvon Walker, edge rusher, Georgia. The dude has tested out of his mind at the Combine Pro Day.
Okay.
Texans taking Kayvon Thibodeau. So 3 edge rushers in the first 3 picks.
Wow.
Then we get to Sauce Gardner at 4 to the Jets. Ike Ekwonu, the first offensive player off the board at 5, tackle from North Carolina State. Malik Willis. Kiper has Malik Willis going 6th to the Panthers.
Yeah, I think he goes 2, 6, or 8.
Okay.
I really do.
Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher, Florida State to the Giants at 7.
Okay, that's getting more consistent. He's going
Garrett Wilson, receiver, Ohio State to the Falcons at 8. Evan Neal, tackle, Alabama to the Seahawks at 9. Drake London, second receiver off the board to the Jets at 10. Kyle Hamilton, safety Notre Dame, to the Commanders at 11. And with the 12th pick, Mel Kiper has the Vikings selecting Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback, LSU. That's the 7th time Derek Stingley has been mocked in the last 3 weeks on Mock-A-Day to the Vikings. Stingley made the list of my favorite prospects, Kiper writes, and I mentioned that Minnesota is probably his floor in round 1. NFL teams will bet on his talent even with back-to-back injury-plagued seasons. So, Godfather mock still has Derek Stingley going to the Vikings here. Any thoughts? I mean, he's just like the most mocked player to the Vikings, right?
So I think my thought is this. I think the consensus is that if Stingley's there, the Vikings take him. If Stingley, like there's probably a group of players who are, if they're at 12, the Vikings will pounce. If those players are gone, which they could be, they trade back. And by the way, to go back to the top of the show, I don't have a problem with the Vikings trading back. I have a problem if they trade back to get cute, because that's what Spielman did eventually. Like Spielman literally passed up good players because he's not good enough, so I can. So if your strategy is to trade back to get, let's say, a first round pick in 2023, or to try to win a trade and not be cute, I'm not going to say, well, that's what Rick did. I'm going to say that's what Rick did when you end up with, let's say, 12 to 15 picks. And it's very clear that you're doing it because your reputation is he's Trader Rick and he trades back. That was my problem with Rick by the end.
And I've said this a million times on the show, but I always feel like it's, if you're looking for job preservation and you're looking to take the criticism off of your back, trading back and accumulating picks and playing the volume game is an easy way to do that. Well, listen, we didn't. If you trade picks to move up and you whiff and lose the picks, now you stand out, right? But if you whiff first or second round, but still, hey, look who we landed. We landed a starter in the 6th round because it's a crapshoot. So I think in the 15 years of Rick Spielman overseeing the draft, the Vikings were always just like, let's not put our necks out there and trade up very often early in the draft. They've done it before, like they've traded back in the 1st round. Let's keep going here. Godfather, Toddfather, going back and forth. So just a few other picks in the 1st round. Charles Cross, the tackle from Mississippi State, going to the Texans right after. Trent McDuffie, the 3rd cornerback, to the Ravens. He's got Jamison Williams, the receiver from Alabama, going to the Eagles. Chris Olave, 19, to the Saints, another wide receiver. Kenny Pickett to the Steelers at 20. He's the next quarterback off the board.
Staying in Pittsburgh.
Packers taking a receiver at 22 from North Dakota State, Christian Watson. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Into the 2nd round here. Let's just skip right to the Vikings here. Pick number 46, again, Mal Kiper. Tight end, Colorado State, Trey McBride. McBride is the first tight end off the board in a so-so class, and the Vikings need to replace Tyler Conklin, even with Irv Smith Jr. coming back from injury. McBride is a threat inline and from the slot, so apparently he can catch passes. Thoughts on a tight end here?
In the 2nd round, for a team that's probably not going to use a tight end a ton,
or a backup tight end,
or a backup tight end, no.
So just so you know, like, because obviously we're not exactly following Colorado State and Mountain West football very closely.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
As a senior, this dude caught 90 passes for 1,100 yards. So only 1 touchdown. So he was great between the 20s and caught over 1,000 yards worth of passes.
And won the Mackey Award for the tight end of the year. And other guys who have won that award recently, Kyle Pitts, TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, even Matt Spaeth from the U of M also won this award in 2006. So, there's been some legitimate guys. Aaron Hernandez has won this award. So I wouldn't rule it out. I would be on board with this pick. I would honestly be all aboard on this
If he can catch
pick.
passes and make this offense more dangerous, I'm all for it.
Hold on a second here. Is there a receiver there approximately? I don't see them taking a backup at a position that I don't think they're going to use a ton. I just don't.
There's a receiver that goes the next pick.
Round.
There's a receiver from Western Michigan. Row the boat. Sky Moore from Western Michigan.
Greg
so I know nothing about Sky Moore, but Sam Howell, quarterback UNC, goes a couple picks later to the Saints here. And then getting into the 3rd round, at pick 77, Todd McShay has the Vikings taking defensive tackle from Texas A&M, Demarvin Leal. So there you have it.
I want a mock.
The write-up there is the Vikings allowed 4.7 yards per carry last season, tied for third worst in the NFL. They need help up the middle. Their edge rushing could use depth, so while Leal lacks the ideal speed of an edge rusher or the ideal size of a traditional defensive tackle, Minnesota would welcome a prospect like him who can move around and affect multiple areas of the defense. So,
all right, let's talk about this draft from a positional value standpoint to this team, though. Okay, the third round pick makes some sense. That I get. Positionally, gaining depth at interior defensive line, I totally get. Stingley, I totally get. A tight end, I don't get. I think we're all looking at this, as we discussed on Monday's show, as to like how the Vikings operated and what teams you. But I mean, you have to look at very, very narrow specifics. And this is an offensive coach who puts a premium, which is, and by the way, this is fine, on wide receivers. Tight ends can be important, but they're not the most important thing. If the Vikings invest a second round pick in a position that's going to be a backup that they're not going to use a ton, I'm going to be absolutely very, very surprised.
Well, and another thing we don't know is what types of spins will Kevin O'Connell put on this offense, because it's easy to look at the 2001 Rams and say, well, that's kind of a blueprint, right? You got your Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins type quarterback. And again, I don't think those guys should be in the same bin, but like a lot of people put them in the same bin. And Kevin O'Connell enjoys working with Kirk Cousins. So there's some similarities there, right? They run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets and a lot of pre-snap motions that you can run wide receivers back and forth and create confusion or the illusion of complexity. But the Rams in 2021, behind Tyler Higbee, who was their number 1 tight end, he caught 61 passes for 560 yards. All right, he was actually their second leading receiver behind Cooper Kupp in terms of receptions. Their backup tight end was Kendall Blanton. He caught 4 passes.
Right, right. And Irv Smith could be that guy to catch a ton of passes. I just don't see them using a second round pick on a backup tight end.
2020, a little bit of a different story. So the 3 top receivers for the Rams were Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Josh Reynolds. They caught 92, 90, and 52 passes respectively. And then Tyler Higbee caught 44 passes. Gerald Everett was their backup tight end that season. He caught 41 passes. So 2 years ago, the Rams mixed in, 40 more catches to tight ends. So if he's got 2 weapons and he feels like they're kind of wide receiver tight end hybrids, then he might find a way to mix them in creatively and create mismatches against linebackers and whatnot. So
let's talk about what you just said, though, because this is where it gets meat and potatoes interesting. What you just said 2 years ago is with Jared Goff at quarterback, right? Then you went to Matthew Stafford, who's considered, rightfully so, a superior quarterback. Now, while I do not agree that you can just say, well, Stafford and Kirk, same guy, I do think that Kirk is far closer to Matthew Stafford than to Goff, because I think Goff is not good. Think of it this way. Tight ends, when you get into the minutia of tight ends, we are passing to tight ends. What are they? They are the ultimate, in some ways, they're like a fullback. They're the ultimate safety blanket option, which is, you sort of suck. We're going to give you safety blankets. We're going to give you beanies. We're going to treat you like a baby, and we're going to give you a lot of options, short passes, where if it breaks down, you can make that pass, okay?
Yeah,
But when we get into the Cousins Stafford discussion, we're talking big boy quarterback time, okay? We're talking big boy passing. And the Vikings have every intention, or they better, to open this thing up. Like, we're talking high-flying, high-wire act. As Phil said, this should be a track meet team. And a track meet team does not throw the ball to the backup tight end because the quarterback doesn't like what's going on. That quarterback drives the ball downfield, football people. Drives the ball downfield. Football. The point being, Irv Smith, healthy, could be very good. And I think he deserves the ball.
Yep. I think Oh, sorry.
But I'm talking about 3 wide receiver sets where the wide receivers are the options. And if you can't make the throw, we got problems.
Yep. And I think, by the end of, if you think about the difference between last year and the year before for the Rams, you go from, like you said, Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford. And Kirk Cousins is much more Matthew Stafford than he is Jared Goff, right? He will throw the ball down the field. Gets a little safety blanket conscious sometimes, but they'll work on that, I'm sure. And Van Jefferson emerged in year 2, second-round pick from 2020, as a viable deep threat target. He actually led the team in yards per reception. And then they added Odell Beckham Jr. halfway through after Robert Woods got hurt. So at the beginning of the year, it was Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Van Jefferson. And then by the end of the year, it was Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, and Odell Beckham Jr., and then a couple other receivers mixed in too. And to your point about safety blanket, check down, et cetera, Tyler Higbee may have finished second on the team in receptions, but he averaged only 9.2 yards per reception in that offense. 13 for Kupp, 16 for Jefferson, 12 for Odell Beckham Jr. So you're chunking more yardage in that system with the receivers than you are with the tight ends.
Yes.
Something to watch.
And I think a very subtle thing that we're not going to talk about a ton, but that they're going to do from day one, and I think this is the most important thing with Kirk, remove some of the safety nets. So they're not all gone. I'm not trying to imply that he's going to consistently have to make stupid throws. But I am saying, if you think about it, previously, Kirk sort of got all of these, there's Ham. He can check it down to Ham. So I'm talking about the complexity of the offense flat out is going to increase, and it should. And that's going to force Kirk to have to make quicker decisions for chunk plays, as opposed to, oh my God, I can't make this throw. I can't do this. I'm just going to check her down to CJ Ham. So I'm serious. I think you have to remove some of the safety options, because the only way that this is going to work is if this thing turns into a explosive type offense.
So Kirk, just for fun here, we should do a deep dive into this at some point. So Tyler Conklin, who is a solid tight end, but let's face it, he's kind of a borderline starting tight end. He was a backup thrust into a starting role. Kirk completed this is amazing. 95, 120, almost 150 passes to Conklin, Dalvin, Madison, and Ham last season. Mm-hmm. So almost 150 completions. He only, I say only, he completed 307. So like 40% of his completions were to a backup tight end, 2 running backs, and a fullback last year, okay? The Rams, so Higbee caught 61. Darrell Henderson was the top receiving running back at 29. So that gets you to like 90, and then Sony Michel caught 20. So basically you're swapping out here, and it's not apples to apples. Stafford completed 30 more passes on the year, but what I'm saying is Stafford is swapping out like 40 or 50 passes from running back, fullback, backup tight end to receivers that actually chunk yards down the field. So whether that's schematics or whether it's Stafford, it's probably a combination of both. Making that swap is going to be huge if the Vikings want to go from 14th. Great. You complete a pass to a running back for 6 yards. Right. It helps your completion percentage. It helps your passer rating, and it's not an interception. Did it move the chains? Did it get you a big play down the field to set yourself up for a score, right? Like, those are the things they have to look at in the margins. So we should definitely do a deeper dive on that at some point in a future episode. That's not all. We have another fascinating mock here in a second. Going to be presented by our friends at Livia, because we're looking to lose weight. Pretty much all of us except for Declan.
Aren't we all?
And there's a great way to do this at Livia.
That's exactly right. My friends at Livia Weight Control Centers have what they're calling now their new Simple Start plan for just $59. That's right, $59. You get one-on-one personalized and guided support online or in person from their team of experts. So that means that you can go in, you can get weighed, get your food, talk to a dietitian. But if you are a PD listener or viewer in, Arizona, Texas, Florida, California, guess what? You can join too. In fact, we have people who have gotten on the plan from all of those states. The food is shipped to them. They do virtual consultations. It's fantastic. Livia.com, Livea.com, or 855-GO-LIVEA The weight comes off, and then here's the best part, and this is where I am right now. They will help you keep the weight off. That's right, Livia, Livea.com, for a lifestyle that's going to make you look and feel better.
Love it. And then when you're feeling good about your weight, maybe you can pick up the golf clubs, Declan. Maybe you can swing down to the Meadows at Mystic, another partner of ours here on Purple Daily.
And I have a little bit of breaking news in that front.
Oh, wow.
Because guess what? We have an open date for the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Thursday, May 5th, the Meadows at Mystic Lake opens up to the
Cinco
public.
de Mayo.
Let's get it.
Cinco de Mayo, they open up. That's awesome.
And with a special rate of just $80 plus tax from now through May 5th. So finally, golf season is upon us. They already have the Great Meadows Bar and Grill. They have a phenomenal golf shop, but now the course is actually open. So head on down there, golf the Meadows at Mystic Lake, and then let's say you want to lock into that low rate, like $80 plus tax at Meadows. That's a deal right there. We can pick up that frequent player card, which then locks you into $75 plus tax, and you can book your tee times 3 weeks in advance. It's one of the nicest courses in all of the Midwest, so you don't really have a lot of time to book out a tee time. Well, you get the frequent player card, and you can book out your tee times 3 weeks in advance. Golf the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Send me a picture. Send me a picture from the tee box. We have show us your cans. Show us your tee boxes, please. I want to see your drivers hitting bombs out there. That's what I want to see.
We could shorten that by getting rid of the word tee, but I don't want to go there. Show us your tee boxes is probably the best way to go there.
We'll figure out something there.
With a surly.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, with the surly.
All right, we also, I mean, this is what a day for mock drafts, boys. We have a Schrager 2.0 from NFL.com and Good Morning Football. Peter Schrager is coming in with a 2.0. Let's fly through it real quick here. So as a reminder, he says this isn't what I would do. It's what I'm hearing from my sources around the league.
This is even better then.
So this is not just like him sitting in a robe in his bathtub, playing GM. This is him sitting in a robe in his bathtub on the phones with GM.
In my head today are bothering me. Mel Kiper on a toilet, now Schrager in the bathtub.
He has Trayvon Walker going to the Jaguars, #1 overall. Smokescreen season, baby.
Interesting.
I'm told by people in the know that the decision on this pick is far from made. With less than 2 weeks to go, Jaguars are still building their board. All right. Okay. Aiden Hutchinson staying in his home state to the Lions. Ike Ekwonu to the Texans. Kayvon Thibodeau, Jets. Charles Cross, Giants. Kenny Pickett to the Panthers. Interesting. Apparently, Pickett's meeting with the Panthers last week went really well. There's also discussion about the Panthers trading for Baker Mayfield.
Pickett?
Oh, how far the mighty have fallen. Scoffing and laughing at the report from Judd that we would never be interested in Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, we laughed.
And now they're like, is Baker Mayfield available? We don't have a quarterback. All right, guys.
I think Pickett is more prepared to play on opening day, but I don't think he's the better pick.
Yeah, well, they're desperate and they're idiots
Willis
in Carolina. So.
They are. And Matt Rule's going to get fired.
Giants taking Sauce Gardner at 7. Evan Neal, the tackle from Bama, to the Falcons at 8. Derek Stingley to the Seahawks at 9. Jamison Williams, receiver Bama, to the Jets at 10. Garrett Wilson, receiver Ohio State, to the Commanders at 11. And that leaves the Vikings, according to Peter Schrager, at pick number 12. To select Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher, Florida State.
I want a mock.
Wow.
Third time?
This is the third time Jermaine Johnson
has been mocked to the
Vikings.
Vikings. Okay.
Yep. And the write-up is Derek Stingley Jr.'s defensive coordinator at LSU, Durante Jones, is now coaching with the Vikings. I think the talented corner is the apple of the Vikings' eye. If he's off the board, look for Johnson, an Eden Prairie, Minnesota native who's viewed by most teams as the fourth pass rusher off the board.
Okay.
Kyle Hamilton goes to the Texans at 13, and then Malik Willis falls to the Steelers at 20. So there you go.
Safe to say, if the Vikings pass on Hamilton at 12, there will be some very upset people, right? Because he is seen as a top 10 guy. I'm not saying I'm upset. I'm saying I think that if he falls to them at 12 and they don't take him, I think you will have some people questioning that big time.
I think people are going to question almost anything, right? Like, is there a pick that people just flat out? I mean,
I think
Short of like
Stingley-
Sauce Gardner falling, which isn't going to
Yeah,
happen.
I
but-
think Stingley will get good reviews from the majority. Don't you guys?
He makes me nervous, man.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying I think he'd get. I'm trying to think about what would actually cause sort of like some controversy and what wouldn't.
Well, the problem with this year's draft is there's no like, it's the most random top 15. People are guessing at the number 1 pick still, you know? This is one of the most wide.
you're
Like,
right.
There's most years I feel like we go in and we pretty much know like, all right, these are the first 3 players off the board, and then like the top 10's probably going to play out this way. I mean, there's guys that are being mocked in the top 5 that could fall outside the top 10, just like there's guys being mocked in the teens that could sneak up into the top 5 or 6. And we don't know in what order the quarterbacks are going to go. So it's just so wide open. I don't know. It almost makes you feel like they should trade back, right? If it's
That's
that
what I was
wide
gonna
open.
say. If Hamilton's there at 12 and they don't want him, I think they trade back.
Would you take Hamilton at 12? I hate drafting a safety in the first
Yeah.
round.
I
No
do
chance.
too. And Harrison Smith went late first round, which I think is appropriate. But if I didn't want him, I think I would trade back. I think that you could get a pretty good ransom if he's there, because he is basically in these mocks up until now a consensus top 10 pick. So I think somebody would come get him. But I agree, I really struggle like with a running back first round, safety first round. There's certain positions that I think I would probably bail backwards, but I would want a lot for that pick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. give
Well,
it away.
and this is where, like, so on the Kyle Hamilton front, I think this is the first time we've seen him fall past the Vikings. I feel like
Yeah.
we've seen him fall to like 9, 10, 11, but he fell to 13 in Peter Schrager's mock. And this is so he's getting steam from front offices that Kyle Hamilton might actually fall.
Right.
And if you're just drafting for 2022, you don't really need Kyle Hamilton on paper, right? Because you've got Harrison Smith still playing at a high level, and Cam Bynum was one of the highest graded players on the team in like 250 snaps. But if you start to look beyond 2022, Harrison Smith's 32 years old. He's not going to. This might be his last season as a Viking. So if you start looking beyond this year, how about a Kyle Hamilton, Cam Bynum back end of your defense? Both guys on rookie scale contracts. Yes, sir. But does that help you for 2022 when you've put all these chips into trying to win big, right? Competitive rebuild. It's hard. It's hard to be competitive if you're trying to be as competitive as possible. You're probably not drafting Kyle Hamilton. But if you're trying to rebuild and build this monster defense for the future, then Cam Bynum, Kyle Hamilton on cheap contracts for the next 4 years is a pretty nice little deal.
I really struggle with trying to fill immediate needs. So, like at some point in time, somebody with this godforsaken franchise has to pivot to the future. Like, I understand what they're doing. I don't agree, but I get it. But I also feel that somebody eventually has to say, okay, we have to use the 2022 draft to fill future needs too. Like, it can't all be about this season. The issue though, where I agree with you, is it sort of pains me to take a safety at 12. So that's where I might go backwards. And I look, until it doesn't happen, personally, I am big on trying to get a 2023 first.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to be there.
What is their, to me, I think their biggest long-term need is a cornerback, because Patrick Peterson's old and signed a 1-year contract. They have a stopgap slot cornerback, and Cam Dantzler, I think, is going to be a starter for the next 5 years. But the jury's still out on him. So, but they've got 3 guys for this year that they feel okay about. So they don't like need a starter. It would be nice to have an upgrade. But I think if you're looking at a 3 to 5 year window, I still think cornerback is probably your biggest need.
If you're trying to win now, so like let's just say they're like, screw it, we are all in the Wills, all of us, 2022. You guys, I think you draft a receiver. I think you go track me.
That's a long-term need too, though, because of Thielen's age and contract status. So,
but what I'm saying is the reality. If you sit down and say, okay, scheme and coaching defensively are going to help, because Mike completely lost his fastball. And we have that. And we also went out in the free agency period and signed guys for defense. But ultimately, we're going to have to win games with Kirk and company. Like, we're going to have to just outscore teams. That's how we're going to win. I think that's the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just love to see this offense jump to be a 30 points per game offense. Speaking of the draft, wow, this whole episode wound up being a Godfather, Toddfather, and
you know what?
Schrager mock episode.
The Lord
we had other stuff we were going to do. We just didn't.
That's okay.
God provided.
Amazing.
As Royce says, God will provide.
Let's talk real quick about, speaking of the draft, we would love to see as many of you as possible, Purple Daily listeners and viewers, at the Surly Purple Daily Draft Night Extravaganza next Thursday, April 28th, where Surly will be brewing a special Before I Die Minnesota football ale, Judd. One night only.
Doors open at 3. We start at 6. There will be an extra camera and mic there. It's going to be a draft / Vikings vent line as well that's going to involve you. And here's the best part. While you're sipping on the Before I Die beer, you can mosey on over, say hi to us, and say, I want to give you some hot takes. And you know what? This show loves hot takes. And so, yes, it's going to be fun. As Phil continues to say, we want to see as many of you as possible at the Surly Brew Hall a week from Thursday. 3 o'clock doors open, 6 o'clock we start, and we go until the draft is done. And we will all enjoy a Before I Die beer. And perhaps some year soon, boys, the promise will be fulfilled. That's right. This will be the building block for that promise to be fulfilled, where we will all see that championship.
Yep. And if you attend, you have a chance to win a 65-inch 5 Series TCL Google Smart TV. So definitely come by. And we're giving away a lot of other things, Surly packages, baseball tickets, and more. So check it out. Also, a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been around for over 100 years. They've been helping us for a number of years, too, keep the lights on at Score North, Mackey and Judd, Purple Daily. So if you're a business owner and you're looking for better frontline protection and risk management and looking to maximize your business, federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. That is a wrap on Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment. We'll see you guys tomorrow.